Hi, good morning, everyone. So today we have a special guest with us. This is Attorney Raymond Rodis. Hi, Raymond.
Hi, Ginger. Hello, fans of the channel.
In this channel, we get a lot of viewers talaga who are really like professionals, no business owners, freelancers who'd like to take their business and their career to the next level, basically. So, today it's really gonna be an interesting conversation because I think you're my first lawyer guest ever to be in the
Oh,
show.
wow.
Yes. Yeah, so I think we'll be talking about a lot of stuff. So before we start, maybe you can introduce yourself, Attorney Raymond, to the viewers.
Okay. Thank you, Ginger. So hi there. I'm honored to be the first lawyer guest here. So I'm Raymond. So I'm also a founder of a startup. So like Ginger, if Ginger has Taxumo that helps um professionals with their taxes. Um, we are Digest. So Digest is a technology startup that helps startups and businesses with their legal needs. So we help businesses incorporate, fundraise, and generally handle their contracts in general. I guess on a personal note, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm uh, a married guy. I'm turning 30, and then I love the Lakers. So I guess that's an intro about myself.
Thank you so much, attorney. So very interesting idea, no? So Digest.ph. Why did you start this startup?
Basically, back in law school, we had the legal aid program, and I would always see like in UP in your fourth year, you're required to
Mm-mm.
um, render two subjects worth of legal aid. So I
Oh,
always
okay.
noticed, yeah,
Mm-mm.
right. As in, like we're law students, we're about to graduate, and then there were actual people who would go to UP Law and ask for
Oh,
assistance
interesting.
from us.
Mm-mm.
And I noticed that was very manual process. So it was all like everyone physically pupunta and manggaling sila malayo, like from Laguna, from
Totoo.
sobrang layo just to go to UP. And I
Mm-mm.
thought na parang ang weird na pang pen and paper yung nangyari. Tapos it would take like weeks, if not months, to go to finalize legal assistance. So I was like,
Mm-mm.
uh, we need something digital, more convenient for people. And so
Mm-mm.
that's why I really wanted to put up something like Digest.
That's nice. So, yeah, so this was prior to the pandemic, right? When you put it up prior to the pandemic.
Correct. So my thinking of here was already 2018, but we put
Okay.
it up like we started web development 2019. So pre-pandemic.
Mm,
Uh,
okay, pre-pandemic. So, did you encounter like any challenges? And in terms of like the your co-founders, do you have co-founders pala in this startup?
that's a great question. So first, there were so many challenges because
Mm-mm.
law in the Philippines is such a conservative profession. It's so new to
Mm-mm.
many people, especially the lawyers themselves, especially the heads.
Yeah.
They're from an older generation that are not yet so used to technology. The pandemic kind of changed things that people were forced to use Zoom or Google Meets and other teleconferencing. But that's
Yeah.
really a challenge that mindset shift.
Mm-mm.
But as to co-founders, I was really a solo founder.
Mm-mm.
So from the start, we hired some employees, and then one became our CTO, but is no longer with us. But the other developers, like they became equity owners as well. But basically, solo founder journey for me.
Okay. What's your vision, attorney, like for this, no? And maybe take us through like how it was before Digest.ph and what do you intend to change in this industry?
Okay, that's a wonderful question. So my vision for Digest is quick service, easy booking, clear pricing, transparent pricing,
Yeah.
and then very delineated scope of work. Because like
Mm,
I guess in comparison, you're saying to trying to compare with everything else. Like
mm,
usually, it's very hard to get the cost of a lawyer. Like, you'll
mm.
have to talk to the lawyer and ask, right? And they sometimes charge
Totoo.
per hour, right?
Oo.
And and you can't super get what is included in the
Yeah.
scope.
Kasi 'di ba as a business owner, ako rin eh, I parang I'm thinking that maybe not a lot of maybe the bigger corporations, no, the
Um,
bigger entities are like more open to, oh, let's have a
mm,
lawyer because we're protecting like a lot of
mm,
assets, 'di ba? A lot of
mm,
capital. Pero like for the MSMEs, parang we need lawyers,
Mm,
pero number one, we don't know like how to talk to lawyers. Like ano ba yung
mm,
kailangan ko in the first place, di
mm,
ba?
mm,
Pangalawa, like when we get to talk, nahihiya rin kami na mamaya ang mahal
mm,
pala tapos atras lang
mm.
din kami in the end, di ba? So, di ba? I don't know if this is like some of the pain points that you've noticed for MSMEs since we have a lot of MSMEs watching.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a great point,
Mm-hmm.
Ginger. Actually, super. Actually, that's a painful point. Like, yeah, kasi you don't want to be talking to a lawyer you can't afford,
Yeah, di ba?
right? Like,
Nakakahiya
it's
eh.
like sayang sa time. Nakakaya, di ba? Like, or sige, if pilitin ko, pero like, ang sakit sa loob ko. Like,
Oo.
I don't, no one likes that. And also, the lawyer, like, we don't also want to like super talk with clients na parang not within our target
Yes,
market,
exactly.
right?
Oo, kasi
So
waste
we're
of
wasting
time
both
din
people's
eh.
time. Oh, right. So
Exactly, yeah.
a pain
Mm-mm.
point for both sides. And so for me, it's kind of absurd. Like what I've seen happen is mag-meet pa tayo kung hindi pa clear yung pricing. Like kung ayaw mong sabihin yung price. Kasi truthfully, tama ha, for
Yeah.
bigger corporations, pang price is less of an issue. But if you're an MSME, it's usually price is one of a big determinant. Kasi limited naman resources ng lahat eh. And you want
Yeah.
to make sure na your money is spent like usually if you have MSE resources, you want it spent on growing revenue, right? Or
Yes.
sales, right? It's not like law is kind of like medyo cost center. So at least you have to know the
Yeah.
cost ahead of time.
Yeah, but that's true, no? But I think Digest.ph is very important even for MSMEs, no? Kasi, well, ako from my perspective, di ba, noong una, talagang ang alam ko lang is notary. Yan yung ipapanotary, di ba, for notarization of documents. But from a perspective na if you want to really grow your business as an MSME later on, you need to be protected in a lot of, ngayon ka lang nare-realize na parang with a company, with Taksumo and all of the legalities involved also. Like, you have to be up and up when it comes to privacy, protection, diba? So, all of the contracts, hindi lang sa'yo, no? If you plan to hire later on employees, dapat everything is there and both of you are protected, the employer and the employees. If you plan to, I'm throwing it out like use cases for people, no, like so that they know like kailan ba kailangan ng lawyer, no. So if you plan to partner with, let's say, brands later on, so you have to be protected, your company, and also sila din later on, diba? Or if you outsource like operational aspects of the business, you also need that, diba? And I'm sure marami pa, no, from registration to later on closure of the business, diba? So in terms of starting naman, Attorney Raymond, I know like in you mentioned kanina that medyo traditional yung industry that you're moving in, no? And digitization is one of the things that you deem is important already because of the pandemic. Everyone's minds are now open to digitizing a lot of things. Now, um, how do you see like your industry evolving in this kind of environment now?
Thank you, Ginger. So how do I see our industry evolving?
Mm-mm.
First, I think every industry was really is really moving towards digitalization,
Mm-mm.
right? There's no question about it. Like you see this in medicine, like now there everything's happening. Like there's always telemedicine online. All the retail, they're all moving online. So if it was easier for goods to be moved online, I think services, even legal, will eventually all shift online. And
Mm-mm.
they will shift away from the per hour pricing that people are doing to something more fixed amount that clear milestones because um there's
Mm-mm.
so much competition right now um, in the market. So I think I really foresee the shift to online and fixed pricing in the legal service market. Well, I guess there's so many problems or
Mm-mm.
challenges that I faced in putting up Digest. One I would think is it's really hard to find like good mentors or good advisors here in the Philippines.
Mm-mm.
Um, like the others I encountered, pang because I've been looking for people who've put up successful businesses like as mentors, right? But like some of our advisors or mentors that I've encountered haven't really run a
Mm-mm.
business before, so it's not really first-hand their experience. So I felt that was like a big challenge because there was a knowledge gap. Like if you're a first-time entrepreneur, you kind of want to learn from someone who's done it before, like who's
Mm-mm.
faced the challenges of like making payroll, growing sales, right?
Yeah.
Handling HR, like so many decision points. So I felt that was super, super challenge that I had to face. But yeah, so I think that for me, that would be the biggest challenge in the startup ecosystem. The second big challenge, I guess, is um, our market is very different. Like, obviously, our market is very price sensitive, right?
Mm.
If you're like, especially if you're B2B, like you have to really show your value, right?
Mm.
So you have to act fast. You have to like give good customer service. So so it's really challenging because
Yeah.
um, to our market is price sensitive. They don't have that much purchasing power,
Yeah.
and sometimes not since clients are not so familiar with legal, sometimes
Mm.
they think it's easy when it's not, and so
Yeah.
it's another challenge to explain what we do and why it's valuable.
That's true. So yeah, you mentioned like a little bit about your market, no? So what's the market of Digest.ph? And maybe can you share like some insights that you gathered from your previous customers? Like what do they mostly get? I noticed in your site that you have a lot of services, no? So ano bang uso ngayon?
Okay, that's a great question. So, ano mo uso? First,
Mm.
I guess there's two questions there, right? Like, who was our
Mm.
target market, and
Yes.
then what services do they usually avail?
Yeah.
Truthfully, I guess we're not really on the micro enterprise
Okay.
there. So we're like small enterprises to medium. So at the very least, you would have like maybe 5 to 10 employees. So that's your target market.
Mm-hmm.
Na would have some stable revenue, like probably you're already at VAT threshold at least 3 million a
Mm-hmm.
year. So um, generally, because when you get to that point already as a business owner, you have so
Mm-hmm.
many concerns. Like you touched on that earlier, like
Mm-hmm.
HR. So you want to be hiring people. You're probably partnering with other people. So you might need MOAs or partnership agreements. You're
Mm-hmm.
probably thinking about raising investment. So you'll need, and because you have traction, people, you're more investable. So you
Mm-hmm.
probably need help fundraising. If you have any like data privacy concerns or intellectual property
True.
concerns, you might raise it. So at that point, like kaya mong tiisin as a business owner at the start. When gusto mong ayusin na yung lahat ng hindi mo inayos when you were starting out because you've already validated your product. You
Yeah.
already built something na people want to buy. Now you're trying to build an organization that can scale.
Mm.
So that's really more for target market. Though our second target market is also like foreign business owners setting up in the
Oh,
Philippines.
okay.
So because like they also have a lot of questions regarding like foreign equity restrictions and then corporate structuring.
Correct.
So I guess our services that are yung sobrang patok talaga always. One is um though it's not really our main line, but people really
Yeah.
like sometimes people want lawyers to incorporate their business. Like para at least pag-isipan yung
Mm,
yung
yes.
structuring. Uh,
Correct.
na, para so that's one. So incorporation and corporate structuring. Two is contracts. So yung patok talaga, founders agreement or shareholders agreement.
Mm.
Two, yung mga investment instruments, meaning like we're trying to raise money, like what do you get the investors to sign? It's like a safe note, a
Mm.
convertible note, subscription agreement. Third is you touched on that earlier, like
Mm.
privacy policy, terms of use. Like if you have a website, like surprisingly people like if they gusto na maayos from the start eh.
Yes.
Yung
Mm.
iba. So that's also a common request. And fourth is yung mga general contract. Yung mga retainer clients usually just want
Yeah.
all their contracts maayos. Like ipa-check na lang, ito yung lahat ng templates na na
Yeah,
meron ako.
that's true.
Pa-edit na lang attorney na
Mm.
make sure na maayos to. And ano yung suggestions mo. So I guess that to the second. The third is like fundraising in general.
Mm.
So aside from the investment instrument, like sometimes like people need help preparing their data room or like talking to the
Mm.
investor, right? So just to make sure everything's in order or cleaning their cap table, meaning like sometimes you have to sell shares kasi sometimes madalas
Correct.
talaga yung shares na nakalista sa articles of incorporation, hindi yan yung totoong hatian.
Yes.
So
Oo.
okay, so I guess
On
those
the
are
side
three.
agreement. Diba?
Yeah, on
Yes.
the side, may internal arrangement.
Mm.
May stockholder na nilagay lang doon para maka-5 na shareholders or
Yes.
yun. So, um, stuff like cleaning up their corporation to make investments smoother. So those are three usually: incorporation, contracts, and then fundraising.
Nice. Sige nga, sige, attorney. We will invite attorney Raymond again later on. Maybe in the next few months, no. So to talk about some of these things, no. Like when you were saying like ano yung mga kaya ninyong to help the business owner with, para I'm thinking of a lot of questions already per type of service that you mentioned,
uh,
no? So like from the structure, no, to the cap tables, to taking in investments, no. So yeah, maybe we can discuss that later on also. What are your tips, no, for these business owners, like for people in your market, those who are actually growing already, and for those who are just starting out, because we have like various sets of viewers, and I'm sure like they'll pick up a thing or two from this video, no.
oh, thank you, Ginger. So I guess some tips I would give.
Mm-mm.
I think the first important thing naman is like business owners should focus on growing their business, like in general. Like
Mm-mm.
kaya na use in almost anything naman legally except for the business model. So if you don't have that
Mm-mm.
traction revenue, that's where your most important use of your time would still be getting revenue, meaning talking to customers and landing leads, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that you need a lawyer ASAP talaga. Until
Mm-mm.
you validate that, that's when everything else could be fixed. So my first tip is focus on the business first rather than the legalities of like fixing everything up. My second tip though, as you move
Mm-mm.
forward is always put everything like in writing. One of the most common things that happen, though I don't takso mo maayos kasi literally married din kayo.
Yes.
But one of the most common na mangyayari is yung nag-aaway yung mga founders ng companies. And
Mm.
always dahil hindi maayos yung usapan.
Yeah.
So dapat maayos yung usapan, ano yung equity split, ano yung job mo, anong job
Mm-mm.
ko, anong mangyayari kung hindi okay yung start ng business, or kung kailan ka magpo-full-time, kung hindi ka full-time ngayon.
True.
So sobrang daming scenarios na nangyari na dahil hindi nyo nilagay sa umpisa, pag-aawayan, tapos sobrang kain oras din yung magsisettle. So, paano kung may gusto umalis? Iba-buyout ba siya? Magkano? Right? Or dapat ibalik niya yung shares kasi di naman niya ginawa yung trabaho niya. So,
Totoo.
in that second end, it's so messy and uses so much time and energy if kung hindi pinag-usapan. So, even if you don't have a lawyer, but at least talk
Mm.
about the difficult things ahead of time
Mm-mm.
para at least clear yung naset na yung expectations always.
Mm-mm.
So always have something in writing, even if not in a formal document, kahit through an email thread or a chat, pag-usapan nyo. Kasi it's a lot
Yeah.
easier kung napag-usapan nyo kaysa, and hindi lang verbal kasi people's memory and perception are very different when you go about it
Mm.
later. And honestly, mas costly later on, especially pag may revenue na yung startup. Kasi people want
Mm.
uh, people's opinions will change once the company has value. So I guess our second tip is put everything in writing. Try to at least always have a paper trail of what you do.
Mm.
Third is um, try not to have dead weight like
Mm.
on your cap table. Like it's always hard like if you have someone who's not doing their job. So
Mm.
pang always be clear about the conditions about performing. Like okay, this is my job description, and if I do this, I get this. Because if you
Mm.
don't make that clear, uh, people will assume otherwise, right? So I think it's hard to have a business where you have dead weight, especially when you're starting out. So try to avoid that like at all costs. So I guess those would be my three tips for entrepreneurs. Focus
Mm.
on the business. Second is like put everything like in writing or on record. And third is like do your best not to have dead weight. Make sure everyone's incentivized to work
Yeah.
for the best for the good of the company.
I love it. Alam mo, that is so true, no? Like, when we started Taksumo, talagang pinag-usapan namin lahat ng sinabi ni Attorney Raymond. So, tingnan nyo, until now, 6 years, kami pa rin.
Oo.
Kasi pagsasama yan eh, it's like marriage, 'di ba? It's na
Mm,
magsasama kayo in this business for I don't know, the next like 20, 30, 40 years to come, 'di ba?
mm,
So, you really have to be sure na yung mga kasama mo are the right fit also when you start a business. So, in our case, 'di ba, mag-asawa kami. But that's not because mag-asawa kami
mm,
attorney, 'di ba, na we
mm,
got into the business together, no? But it's because of our individual skills also. Tama ka when you say dead weight, no? So, all of us
mm,
really contribute no ideas, effort, time to the business to make it grow. So yeah, very very good tips. And yung writing na yan, putting everything in writing kasi I get to meet a lot of entrepreneurs na hindi sinabi naman namin yun eh, pero nasaan yung ebidensya? Yes, 'di
Oh.
ba? Na you really said that. Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? So it's good.
Mm.
So yeah, so thank you so much, Attorney Raymond. So Digest.ph. We will put all of the links in the show notes below. We'll put the links of the website now where you can get to see a lot of these services that Attorney Raymond mentioned. And also, I think you have them on social media accounts as well. So we'll put it also in the show notes below. So thank you so much, Attorney. It was a pleasure speaking with you today.
Thank you very much also, Ginger, for the invitation. And thank you, viewers, for your time. I wish you the very best in your entrepreneurial journey.
All right. Bye bye.